So I bought these little spools, right? Because this is a little welder. I figure it'd take these little 2-pound spools. Well, it says it does in the instructions, but I guess the ones with the big hole, right? So there's no way, even if you put it on there, there's no way to hold it to keep it from spinning on you, because this dog has to engage the wheel, or this thing will just freewheel and unwind all your wire. So, I mean, I don't really understand that. This is the perfect size welder for this size spool. So I bought 2 of them and they don't fit. So I ripped all the guts out of the inside and carved a little notch in it with my knife so that the dog will kind of half-ass engage with the outer piece of plastic, and hopefully it'll work. It seems a little ridiculous to me. I don't understand why one of these, I didn't even think to look, because of course this would take a small spool. Like, why do I need to look? This is the size welder that takes these spools. So, you know, it's pretty typical for these kind of wire feeders. Just flip that down, lifts that up, string your wire through the holes, which are back on the inside of the cage that you can't reach. And I realize you guys can't see it. Well, neither can I. This adjusts the tension for how tight the wheels are squishing on the wire. So one of the stipulations for being able to give this welder to one of you guys is that I had to do a review on it. So that's why you guys are watching me do all this basic stuff. And I've already decided that this is going to be a little bit different type of review than the ones that are already out there for the same machine. I'm going to focus less on the specs and more on what I would like to see in a welder of this size. You know, this isn't a big machine. The benefits of this are that it's light, portable, and dual voltage. So number one thing to me would be how this actually runs on 110 volts. Because this obviously, for me as a welder, this isn't going to be my main machine in the shop. But if it was useful for MIG welding or TIG welding on 110 volts, that's a huge advantage for a small machine like this. So this thing didn't come with a regulator, but if you win and you don't have one, I'll throw one in from my regulator boneyard. It'll get you guys started. Right now it's on 110 volts. Going through a 25-foot extension cord because I think that's realistic. So we're gonna try it like this and see how it goes. So that's the first weld ever with it, and honestly it welds great. Welds fantastic right out of the box. This machine has an interesting display setup. Typically on MIG welders, you have your voltage on one side, and then you have your wire feed speed and inches per minute on the other side. And this one seems to have your voltage on the right, and then this one, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is amps. What it does is as you adjust your voltage, it adjusts its wire feed speed automatically. I think generally I would say that I don't like that in most circumstances, and this one, it actually does a really good job. It seems to be pretty accurate. I don't really feel the need to adjust it because it welds pretty well. Most of you guys know my air compressor used to be right here, and it's not a great spot. It's a big 80-gallon 2-stage compressor, and it's really noisy, but it never really bothered me because the only air tools I really used are the automatic drawbar and an air gun. And I could fill up the tank in the morning, and that was plenty of air to get me through the day. But I was able to find a flex arm, believe it or not, used, and this is gonna require a lot more air. And it didn't take me long to realize I didn't want the air compressor running in here when I was using that thing, so I decided to move it outside. And I poured a little concrete pad and ran air lines throughout my shop. I decided to use PEX, which is typically used for plumbing, but I've heard of a lot of guys using it for their air lines, and they seem pretty happy with it, so I decided to give it a shot. The benefits to this stuff is it's really cheap and it's super easy to work with. I think it's like $50 for 100 feet. And I brought it up to 150 PSI and let it sit overnight, and I can't find a single leak. So I moved the air compressor outside, and I need to make a house for it. And I also need to review this welder so I can send it to one of you guys. Since I'm reviewing a welder, there's not gonna be a lot of machining in this video, but I do have some information that you're gonna wanna hear towards the end of the video. These fireball squares are great, but it's important that you understand if you're using them for clamping your work, you can only guarantee that the corners are square for this 8 inches here and this 8 inches here. And hot rolled steel never comes particularly straight, so it's still important to pull your diagonal measurement to make sure you're square. If you're a welder, welding frames like this is something that you'll do a lot. And the way I do it is I weld all of the top welds and the outside corners first. All of these and these on both sides. And then I grind them smooth. And then very last, I'll weld these inside fillet welds because these have the most pull. If you're gonna get distortion, most likely these welds are gonna cause it. So at the end when I do weld these last, I alternate corners. Here, there, there. So I had some comments on some of my older videos saying that my welds didn't look that good and that I must not be a welder. And you're absolutely right, these welds don't look that good, but this isn't an accident. Not that they're ugly, but the reason that they're ugly. And the reason is because I turned the machine up way too hot. And the reason for that is because I'm grinding the welds off flush. And in order to save myself beveling all these pieces, I turn the machine up way too hot. And that way it gets penetration without having to bevel. And since these welds are gonna be removed anyways, you're never gonna know. This is a MIG weld with the appropriate settings. And for all you guys who are giving people a hard time in their comments about MIG welding, this is not a difficult skill. MIG welding is the least difficult skill in all of welding, in my opinion. And if you can lay a good MIG weld, that doesn't make you a welder. What makes you a good welder is all the other stuff. The measuring, the fit up, the grinding, the prep, all of that is what takes a long time to learn. Chautauqua bids. I'll put it on the screen. This is a company that I want to tell you guys about, that I got all this tooling that you see here. Now, they also have an eBay seller page, and I had bought from them in the past. Foxburg's Fabricating told me that they had started doing an auction on Facebook. Here's the thing, nobody knows about it yet. I've done 2 auctions with them, and I didn't pay more than $10 for anything that you see here. Most of it's brand new. Carbide drills, carbide end mills, a bunch of inserts. And by $10 each, I mean $10 each lot. All the reamers were $10. A lot of the lots had 2 or 3 drill bits in them. All the collets, the 5C collets, those were all a lot. So I'm telling you guys this, and I know I'm gonna regret it, but go check it out. I also have talked to the guy before, and he's a super nice guy. He seems like a company who's worth supporting. He's always had good customer service, even before I knew about the Facebook auction. But I'm gonna put a link in the description to his Facebook auction page and also his eBay seller page. Pretty sure he has a Facebook auction coming up this next week. So go follow his Facebook page, and I think you'll get a notification, I think is how it works. What do I think about the S-Welder machine? I think it's pretty good. All things considered, I think this machine did great. All the MIG welding in this video, I used this machine on 110 volts, and I welded with about 20 volts. And you know, that's pretty respectable. You know, it's, I didn't weld anything real thick or make any long continuous welds or anything like that, but I never tripped a breaker even once, and that's quite a bit better than other machines that I've used on 110 volts. Now, there's some things I don't like, and there's some things I like. I really like how it welds, super easy to use, the interface is nice. Inside, this whole setup in here, I don't like. It was frustrating to me. The fact that they don't have an adapter that came with my machine, at least this machine, didn't come with an adapter to run a small spool. Now, one of the biggest benefits of this machine is that it's portable. And if you're gonna go do a little handrail job or something out in the field, this is all you need. You only need one of these little tiny spools. And why would you want all the added weight of doing one of those larger spools that this can take? The second thing, having the drive wheels over here and this part of the wire feeder, this is ridiculous to me. You can't hardly get in there. It's hard to see what you're doing. I think this could be better. Bottom line, I don't think that for 400 bucks or whatever this machine is, I don't think you can beat that price for a MIG-TIG stick machine. Okay, so rules for the welder. I changed my mind a little bit, and I'm gonna give the welder to somebody that comments on this video. The only reason for that is I don't want somebody who doesn't want the welder to get called. And you know, I'm sure that I have at least a few like bots or fake subscribers or whatever. So if you want to win the machine, just mention welder in the comment and you'll be answered. And as far as being subscribed to my channel, I think it would be cool if you were subscribed, but I guess I don't care. You know, I also don't want people to subscribe to my channel just because they want to win a welder. I'll announce the winner on a YouTube short in about a week. Like I said in the last video, I will spend up to $100 of my own money to ship it to you if that's what is required. I think that's about it. Thanks for watching.